morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We are here at the 2022 School District of Palm Beach County Virtual Technology Conference with the beautiful, amazing Siobhan Mcmanus. Um, we are going to take off with OrbitNote. So please, while you're in the session, please use the chat box on the right-hand side to communicate. Like and subscribe to our channel. And if you look on the side, you will see a wrench. That will mean that that person is a moderator. So if you have questions, please direct it to that person. You'll also see Ed Tech team within the StreamYard chat that is also a moderator. So Siobhan, let's see if there's another slide. So we are going to have Siobhan's presentation take off with OrbitNote. And just to share the schedule with you today, real quick for today's sessions, this session starts at 9:25 and it goes until 10. And then we have, I believe, a 10-minute or maybe a 25-minute break before session B starts. And you can see that we encourage you to go to Kumo Space to participate in discussions. It's actually quite cool. I was just in it, where you kind of move yourself with your mouse to the other person and you can actually talk and chat. And it's almost like a live meet. So it's super fun. I see that someone says that the video is spinning, so maybe possibly refresh, and hopefully that will help. I also know that if you close some of your other tabs, that will also help. The Ed team is happy to present this for, I don't know how many years we've been doing this. It's been quite a long time. But I am going to turn it on over to Siobhan.
Thank you very much, Melissa. It's really nice to be here. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Taking Off with OrbitNote. I work with the Florida Diagnostic and Learning Resource System, and we are funded by the Florida Department of Education. Our mission is to support and enhance exceptional student education programs by providing evidence-based, high-quality professional learning opportunities. We like to integrate assistive and instructional technology, and we promote family engagement and ensure access to early intervention services. So our goals today, for those of you who have been in many of my sessions over the years, we're going to talk very briefly about Read and Write for Google Chrome. It's available to all students. We're going to learn how to make some adjustments to individualize features for students to enhance their learning. We're also going to learn about OCR scanning features of the new OrbitNote. That allows you to use existing papers that are image only, PDFs, and other inaccessible resources. So we're going to make things accessible for students. And then finally, we're going to learn how you can obtain a free version of Read and Write for Google Chrome for teachers. So what tools are actually included in Read and Write for Google Chrome? For those of you who are familiar with it, you'll recognize this toolbar up at the top of the page. And it provides things such as word prediction. It has talking and typing, just like in Google Tools. There is a dictionary as well as a picture dictionary. There is text-to-speech available. We have screen masking, highlighters. My particular favorite feature is the vocabulary list maker. And then students can practice reading aloud. I'm going to hop out very quickly just to show you a few of these tools in Read and Write. So one of the things that you'll notice in my document, let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger for you. If you see along here on the top is my toolbar. When I go in and highlight some text, I can come up to the play button and we're going to let it kick in. And it's going to read this aloud to our students.
Have you ever heard the expression, "you drive me batty"? Long ago, people believed a backbite caused insanity.
Now, ordinarily, if we weren't have a lot of people on this call, it would probably be highlighting. You'll notice that I went in, I did a little bit of highlighting here. I can use these nice highlighters and I can come in and I can click and I can do highlighting. What's nice about this is if your students are doing research, they can gather these highlights together and it will make a nice list for them of all the things that you have collected. And just give it one moment. Excuse me. And it's supposed to give me another document, which it seems to be lagging. So I'm not going to worry about, oh, there it comes. So it will put in a Google Doc. It will give you eventually the things that I just highlighted. It gathers them. So if you have students who are doing research, they can gather information. It also tells where I got this document from and who I am and why did I collect that. So that's one of the nice features of Read and Write. Another thing that I like about Read and Write, I went in and I did a little bit of highlighting earlier, and I can also make a vocabulary list from that. I click on the vocabulary list, and in the interest of time, I went ahead and did it earlier. And what you'll see is I took those highlighted words. It gives me definitions. It gives me symbols for those definitions. And my favorite part is that students can put their own notes in so that they understand the vocabulary. So if you have students who are creating their own vocabulary lists, this is a super tool. Some of the other highlights within the Read and Write is that you can actually come in on the right-hand side and go to Settings. You can change the rate of the speech. You can make it go slower or faster. You can also change the voice. So if it's a boy and he prefers a male, you can use the male voice. You can also come in and check on screen masking. And screen masking is really nice because if you have students who struggle with keeping their place, I'm going to come up on the top toolbar again. Here's my little screen with screen masking. And what that does is it isolates the area of text. I can come over here on my little symbol here. There are settings, and I can make this a little bit more narrow. And when I save it, now I'm down to 1 or 2. So that's a super quick thing that you can do there. Again, let me undo that. If I come over and I click on that mammals, I can get the definition using the dictionary. And if I have a student who can't read that definition, they can listen to it. And again, we have a little bit of a lag.
Any warm-blooded vertebrate having the skin more or less covered with hair, young are born alive except for the...
So you can see that students can come in, they can get those definitions. And if they still need some more support, if you're scaffolding for students, I also have a picture dictionary. So there are pictures of mammals. I think they do a nice job with that. I also like this one for fur. They show different types of fur. So they do a real, excuse me, a very nice job. They also have, I showed you the read aloud, the vocabulary. But again, the highlighting, you can have it read just by pressing play.
Believed a backbite caused insanity.
And those are some of the quick features of Read and Write. Oh, and there we go. So those were some of the tools included. And as I just showed you, here's where you can change your speech. But what I really want to show you today is OrbitNote. And OrbitNote is really exciting because it has a PDF editor that provides tools, and it's available for teachers and students. And it's available to students who have an IEP. So those are our students with disabilities. They have access to the full version of this. Teachers and other students have access to the PDF readers. So what is a PDF? So a PDF is a locked document. It's usually an image, but we want to make sure that students have access for the ability to have things read to them. So when a teacher is using OrbitNote, those things can be read to students. So let's take a quick look at how OrbitNote works.
This video shows how to use the scanning feature in OrbitNote to make your PDFs readable. Some PDFs are images and don't contain any text. When you open a PDF like this, OrbitNote will notify you that it can't find any text. Just click Let's Scan. Select your document language and click Scan. OrbitNote uses a process called OCR, or optical character recognition, to make your document readable. When it's finished, your PDF will be ready to read, highlight, and annotate. Before beginning these arguments, I need to clarify how I propose to test an adequate environmental ethic. For more information about OrbitNote, visit texthelp.com.
Okay, so let's go out. We're going to take a little trip outside of our PowerPoint because I want to bring in some documents to show you how read and write work, or excuse me, how OrbitNote works. So if you are familiar with your extensions, your Google Chrome extensions, on my top toolbar, which I know is difficult to see on this screen, but there is an OrbitNote icon. I'm going to click on my OrbitNote icon. And once it pops up, I should be ready to pull in a document. I apologize, there's a little bit of a lag here. There we go. So this is what OrbitNote looks like when you pull it up. You have different ways in which you can pull it in. Pull in a document. You can either drop a document, a PDF document from your desktop, or you can open a PDF from your Google Drive. So for the purpose of speed, because I know we have limited time today, I have a document on my desktop that I'm going to pull down, and I'm going to drop it right here where it says drag and drop your PDF. So when I drop it, I'm going to get a pop-up here. It should say scan, but because I've been practicing, it didn't give me that one. But when it says scan, you say, yes, I want to scan. And if you look up here on the upper right-hand corner, you're going to see it says scan text, and there's a little pink dot next to it. When I scan the text, I choose what language I want. So because for the purpose of today, we're going to use English, but if you have students who are speaking Spanish or Portuguese, you can choose those. Here is the name of my file, my UDL sample, and now I'm going to scan it. Once it scans, I can save it into my Google Drive. So I'm just going to call this my tech conference sample, and I'm going to save it. And now it's going to pop up, and it's ready to be worked in. And eventually it'll come up. There we go. So here's my document. It looks the same, but now it's accessible. You'll see on the top here, I have that toolbar again, but it looks a bit different. This is also from Text Help, which is the maker of Read and Write for Google Chrome. And when I come in, I have some choices. I can choose click to speak. And if I click on this, wherever I click, it's going to start reading. It really is.
Foundational research on UDL. UDL draws from a variety of research, including the fields of neuroscience,
Okay, I'm going to stop that because that is too fast for my students. And I know that. So in order to change that, I'm going to go to the far right corner of my screen. I'm going to go to those three dots and I'm going to do a drop down and go to my settings. In my settings, I'm going to go to speech over here on the left. When I go to speech, I can change the speed and I can test it.
Test voice speed.
All right, that's a little bit better for me. But I have a little boy in my class who doesn't like that voice. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to change that voice to Daniel. And I'm going to test it again.
Test voice speed.
All right, so I'm going to use that. I'm going to save it. And now when I come in and I click to speak,
Research on the principles of UDL.
I didn't care for that one at all. So you see, you can go in and you can change this. Another way that you can have this speech done is just by clicking on the play button. Highlight where you want it to read and click the play button.
Foundational research on UDL. UDL draws from a variety of research, including the fields of neuroscience.
Okay, I'm going to stop that because I'm not real crazy about his voice. Just like in read and write, you can also come in, you can find a word that you may not know, and perhaps you don't know what the word aircraft is. Whoops. And I can come to my dictionary. And just like in read and write, the dictionary is going to give me the definition, and I can come in and I can play the definition.
A vehicle that can fly.
That is a really bad voice, I have to tell you. I'm not thrilled with it at all. I'm sorry. I have to change that because I can't take it. I'm going to go back to my settings. I'm going to go back to my speech. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to put Ava back on. I'm going to speed her up just a tad. Okay, so see how easily you can do that on the fly? So when you're working with your students and they're having difficulty or they say that something's not working, you can come in and help them make those adjustments pretty quickly. Just like we had the dictionary, I also have my picture dictionary, and it gives me a variety of aircraft. I can also come in and again, I can do that masking, that screen masking, which is a really nice feature. I can also do translations. So if I don't know what aircraft is, and I'm not sure what my translator is set to, but there are different pronunciations and languages. Just like in read and write, I can come in and I can do some highlighting. Oops, I didn't want to do the whole thing. But I can come in and I can make my vocabulary list. I'm going to have a lot of words that I didn't really want, but it gives you an example. Yeah, it found one. It didn't like that. But that does work just like the one in read and write. And I can come in here and I can erase those highlights. There's a little brush to sweep them away. And there they go. So those are some of those reading features that are available in read and write. I can also have the students say I want them to come in and make a comment on what they're reading. And I can come in and click on my text and I can just say, this was really cool. I can also move it to where I want that comment. And then I click off and there it is. But I might also want to change the color so that it stands out. So those are some quick, easy things that the students can do. When I'm done with it, I can come over here to the delete button if I change my mind. So those are some of the reading actions that you can do. I can also have them come in here. I can have them sign their name. I can also come in and have them use this, the shapes, and I can have them circle. I can have them put a square around something. So there's some really cool tools that we can use here. I would also like to do one other thing to show you. And I'm going to bring up my OrbitNote one more time. Hopefully it's going to pop up. Do I have a French accent? Heather, I don't know if it has a French accent. I honestly have not tried that. But here's my OrbitNote again. Again, I'm going to go in and I'm going to grab a PDF file from my desktop, and I'm going to drop it right in here to my OrbitNote. It's generally going to say, oh, do I want to scan this? And yes, I do want to scan this because I want students to fill this out. So it's in English. I'm going to scan it. And whoop, didn't work that time. Yes, it did. All right, so this is going to be my TC2. And I'm going to save it. And now it's going to pop up again. So this time, if I have students who I've sent something through Google Drive, they're in Google Classroom, and I want them to fill out this paperwork. So record what students will know, do, and care about in this part of the session. I'm going to come up here to my text tool. I'm going to click right here, and I'm going to say they will know. What a great tool OrbitNote is. And I click off of it, and there it is. And I can move it. I can also make this text smaller. So if the students have a smaller space in which to type, they can change the size just by going to this A. They can also dictate their answers. So if you have students who struggle with that writing and that reading, you can have them, if they have a headset, you can have them dictate as well. And you would have to allow that microphone. And I would add on just like that. It's that easy to use, period. Turn that off. So just like using Google Tools, this is another one of those tools. You can also come in and you can draw in here. So if the students want to make a little picture, you can have them add a picture. So depending on what grade your students are in or what the request is, you can adjust. I can also come in and erase this if I don't like what I've made. I just come in and I use my little eraser and I can erase all those items. So we have a few minutes left. I'm looking to make sure I've covered pretty much everything. Again, these are for the writing. I can also add pictures. I like this idea. I can come in, I can look on my computer. I can see if I have anything in here I want to use, and maybe I have a beach. I can add that. Oh, it's too big. But I can come in and I can use things from my picture dictionary, all different types of things that you can add in here. So I do want to leave some time for questions. Yes, Adam, I see your question about saving the document. Yes, they can save this document and they can send it to their teacher. Because what's going to happen is they're actually just in their Google Docs as they're filling this out, and then they would just upload it like they usually do. I'm looking to see if I have any other questions. Heather, as I said, I don't know if it has a French accent. Tommy Lynn, yeah, this is a great thing for our ESE students. I think, you know, what's good for our ESE students is also good for all students. And Joshua, do teachers have the full version? So teachers have the full version can have the full version to read and write for Google Chrome. Teachers do not get the full version of OrbitNote. However, your students, if they are ESC, they will have access to OrbitNote. And you can work with them on that. If you need any assistance, I'm happy to help you with that. But this is the website for Read and Write for Google Chrome. This is free for teachers. I highly recommend it. I have been using it for many years now. I think it's one of those tools that has been underutilized in our district. We keep trying to advertise it and show it to people, but people forget about it sometimes. Yes, Janelle, I like the fact that they can take notes and use that vocabulary list as well. And for students who are working on vocabulary, I think that list maker is really a game changer for a lot of our students, because not only do they get that picture, they get the definition, but then they can put that in their own words. And I have found that is really helpful for a lot of our students. Any other questions? Okay, so we want to make sure we're providing options. Using Read and Write for Google Chrome as well as OrbitNote does allow students the ability to access any document, because truly we want to make sure that students have access to their curriculum. If you are scanning from a textbook, or you are, using materials that aren't accessible for students, this is a way to make sure that they are. Yes, Joshua, this has already been pushed out to students who are students with disabilities. This has been pushed out on their Chromebooks. It is not pushed out automatically to staff because OrbitNote is not a free version. We don't have a free version, and they don't have it for teachers. It is for student use. So again, that Read and Write is free for teachers. So that is the one thing. Read and Write is one program. OrbitNote works alongside of it, but it is a separate program. So I just want to make sure everybody's clear on that. Yeah, it's not, Joshua, I'm sorry. I don't have control over that. I wish I could give it to everybody in the world, but I can't. But we just want to make sure that, so what we do know is that all student Chromebooks have Read and Write for Google Chrome, the free version. They also have OrbitNote, which is free, but that does not create those OCRs. That does not do that scanning feature. And then students who have an IEP, or as we like to say, our students with disabilities, they will have a full version of Read and Write for Google Chrome, as well as a full version of OrbitNote. So that's all I have for you today, but we're here until 10 o'clock. So please let us know what we can do for you. And Maria, do I know the main difference between the two? The main difference between the two is that OrbitNote will scan those documents that are not recognizable. So if you have something on your computer and the text-to-speech feature of Read and Write is not working, that means that it is not readable. So that's when you would use OrbitNote in order to make that accessible for students. Yep, you're right. Optical character recognition, Josh. Heather, it stands for optical character recognition. So sometimes when you scan things, it looks like a photograph to a computer. They don't know the difference between an image or a written document or a typed up document. So that's the way that it would be seen. So that's where OrbitNote would come into play. Maria and Carla, thank you very much. We appreciate you guys being here, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the day, and make sure you get your hashtag PBC Tech Conf in so that you can go for those door prizes, because they already gave away a laptop and a $50 gift certificate. So I'm going to hang in there to get those things too. So if anyone has any other questions, we're here. We're not going anywhere. Oh, thanks for putting that in, Ed Tech team. You're very welcome, Diana. Thanks. Really glad you guys could make it today. Enjoy the rest of the day. It's going to be awesome. Yes, the ESE teams have been made aware of this. This has been out here for a while, and we are continually getting the word out, and we would appreciate you getting the word out. And if anyone has any questions, please have them contact me. That's what I'm here for.
Siobhan, you are a rock star. Thank you so much for sharing such amazing information. I think years ago when I was in tech, you shared read and write with me, but
Yep.
it's been a minute and the refresher was phenomenal. I love it. And I'm so happy you brought it back to my attention. I can
Great.
share it with many of my schools now. So I'm happy about that. And Orbitone,
OrbitNote.
OrbitNote, thank you. Looks awesome as well.
Yeah.
I asked Jim to write me an IEP so that I can have it as well. But thank you so much. Thank you all for joining us at this tech conference and joining our presentation with Siobhan. If you have any further questions, please email her, Siobhan Mcmanus at palmbeachschools.org. Please stay for some of the great sessions and prizes. Remember to go to the new, hold on, I'm trying to figure out what it's called, Kumo space. It's super cool. You can go and actually talk and see people in there and get points because we all know we love points. And again, there'll be so many more great prizes. So thank you for coming. Have a wonderful day and enjoy the rest of the conference.